it my job this morning to come and do what John did, and that is describe what love really is to the church. Because I think we have a misconstrued opinion about what love really is. We think love is holding hands. Talk back to me. We think love is buying people things. Brothers and sisters, there is a God kind of love that I believe is in our text. Perhaps John writes to them because they were miseducated about what love is, as some of us in this room are. Perhaps they understated love because they did not understand love. Talk back to me. Perhaps they were ignorant about the definition of what real, true intimacy really is. All I know is something was happening in the church that caused John to write this first letter to the church. Something of a menace was occurring among the membership. John's first letter to the believers is a letter about love. All throughout John's first letter, all you ever hear him talk about is this word love. And he talks about this, hear me now, he talks about this thing love for the purpose of exposing the fakes that were among them. You see, there were fake people that were among them. There were phony people that were in front of them. These fakes and these phonies, they had disguised themselves and had become a part of them. You know how it is. You will let somebody in your world as long as they say they love you. They had hid their real motives and ended up in relationship with these people because they were like a lot of fake, phony, fraud, pseudo saints, always talking about I love you, but I stab you in your back. They were like some folk that say, ooh, I love you, and you don't even know me. You've been knowing me for 3 weeks and you really don't love me. You can't love me if you don't even really know me. The same thing that happened in John's day, if you help me preach it, I believe it is still happening today. If you are not cognizant and if you are not careful, it's easy to find yourself intimate and in love with somebody that's a fool and not in the faith, that really does not have the propensity nor the ability or even the proclivity to love you back. Just as in John's day, they know how to say what needs to be said. Help me preach. They know how to do what needs to be done. They have watched you long enough. They have listened to all your trauma, your drama. They've heard all of your testifying. They've heard all of your stories where folk have not loved you, and all they did is they flipped the script and they tried to love you in a way that would make somebody think, make you think, oh, they really love me. Brothers and sisters, it was a design to let them know, let me show you that I love you long enough to sell a counterfeit content that really hides my real intent. These kind of people, let me tell you, they are monsters in the making. They are hypocrites in hiding. They are frauds with a cause. They are pretenders with a plan. They are make-believers with a motive. They are phonies with a bunch of baloney. And they are actors who cannot sustain their acts. Y'all ain't gonna help me preach it. What am I trying to say? What's in them? Inevitably, it'll come out of them. And if it ain't in them, because one day you ain't gonna be as cute as you are right now. One day your hair ain't gonna be did and your lashes ain't gonna be on. One day your hair gonna be napping. You gonna have a hat on. Talk back to me. One day, you ain't gonna look like the person they fell in love with. But if there is real, genuine God kind of love, this God kind of love you when your hair napping, when you ain't got no hair, when your nails ain't did. Talk back to me. When the money funded, when the change train, this kind of love know how to go through a trial. This kind of love know how to go through a storm. This kind of love. Somebody here know what I'm talking about. There's a young generation, they just looking at me like this. But there are some folk in here know what I'm talking about. You've been there. You've had the enemy to plant these kind of people in your life. He will plant them in your life to try to divert you from the truth, to try to derail you from your track, to try to pull you away from your destiny, and even disrupt your identity. These folk that don't love you, don't love themselves. and will make you question your own value. Oh, but when you love Jesus and when you love yourself, you understand I don't need another nappy-headed nobody. Come on, talk back to me. To let me know how valuable I am to God. You know how to look in the mirror and say, I am fearfully and wonderfully made in God's image. And when God made me, he threw away the mold. I'm trying to help somebody. I'm trying to help you. And I'm going to go deeper than you think I'm going. On the surface, these people, they do not appear to be as they seem. On the surface, they do not appear as they seem. These kind of frauds, these fakes, these phonies, these balonies, they seem nice when they're really naughty. They seem real when they're really fake. They seem authentic when they're really pathetic. They seem like they care when really they could care less. They act like they're for you when they're really all about themselves. They seem upright when they're really on the down low. Talk back to me. John's message this morning is one that helps us to discern who somebody is deeper than the surface of what they seem. Feel like preaching. John wrote this letter as a means of leveraging the saints and helping them to discern who people are beyond what they say on the surface. But what do you do when they look like something different than what they really are? What do you do when they know how to sell you a mountain in a valley place? It was because of the reality of who they really were. The relationship between the two of them went bad. In this church, you had saints and ain'ts. In this church, you had the holy, you had the hellish. In this church, you had the righteous and the unrighteous. In this church, you had the real and you had the pseudo-fake Christians. They had a habit that could not be upheld. They had an emotion that could not be maintained. They had a passion that could not be preserved. And that's what happens when there is no real God love. All it is an emotion. I think this is a good day to talk about this. This is a perfect day to talk about this in all of our pretty red and all where we Snapchat, we putting everything on Facebook. Look at the roses I got. Look at this. Look at what I got and look what they bought me. I want to ask the question. Love says it ain't just about one day. Love says what you're going to be doing next week. Love says don't treat me like a queen February the 14th and then treat me like a... I'm trying to clean it up. I'm trying to...